drinking out of a fire hose. Again, hi again, this is Mark Boersma, and we are in for a real treat because we're looking at engineered clarity, the process of thinking differently that brings satisfaction where you and I desire clarity. And today's lesson is specifically as it relates to partnering with CPAs. And we've got great panelists. So we're going to start out with Jorge. Tell us just a little bit about yourself if you could.
Okay. My name is Jorge Herrera. I live in San Antonio, Texas. Have been here for 33 years. Got my CPA license in Mexico in 1985 and my Texas license in 1991. Have my wife, Coco, and 2 children, Victoria and Jorge Alberto.
Nice. And Jorge, one of the questions we have for you today is, why do CPAs have such a hard time trusting other people?
I think one is natural because CPAs, we are supposed to have professional skepticism. So that is wired into the profession itself. But it appears like some of us, including myself for a long time, then we get carried away. So
what would be your suggestion, to CPAs who say, hey, it's not brain surgery or rocket science to go ahead and ask people what their biggest challenge is. I can do that, but what am I going to do with it afterwards? Or what suggestion would you give to people, to CPAs, about learning how to trust other people?
Well, in my case, then I have tried other systems, other trainings, and then there are part of it. You can get a video, you can get a CD, you can get a book, but in this case, there is a complete system. So what I'm doing is trusting the integrity of the system and following one step at a time and seeing results one step at a time.
See, I like that. I'd never thought of, systems having integrity, trust the integrity of the system. When Tom Coons, past president of Century 21, largest real estate franchise in the world, over 140,000 agents in 70 different countries, when he shared that concept with me, I'm like, wow, systems do have integrity, so I love that. How do you overcome the challenges of sending out a series of questions? You've done this with your own clients where you sent out actually not just their biggest challenge, what they'd love help with, but you ask what they liked about you. You ask, what would be some suggestions on what they could improve, their biggest challenges, which of the 4 shapes. You did that. Did you have fears in actually asking questions? The number one thing in clarity, the first step is asking questions. Did you have any challenges or thoughts or fears in doing that, Jorge?
Yes.
Yes. Nice. So how did you overcome those fears?
By jumping into the water.
See, I don't know about everybody else, and Ski and Ginger Ann and Don, you guys can all jump in if you want. It seems so simple, we'll just jump in. Don, Ski, Ginger Ann, any further thoughts? Jorge is making it sound way too easy. Just do it. Like Nike, just do it. Any thoughts that you guys have to help either CPAs or business owners? Because CPAs aren't the only ones that can be cynical, skeptical, not trusting. Any thoughts you guys have?
Well, myself personally, I own 3 businesses actually, and stay-at-home mom.
Sorry, we're having a hard time hearing you. A little bit up.
Sorry, is that better?
That's better.
Okay. So for myself personally, I own 3 different businesses. Myself, a coaching company, a business negative sexual aversion assistant company, and also teach Chinese children ESL online. I have 4 children of my own, and including a set of twins who are under 2. And so it's a very busy stay-at-home life, and so it's something I wanted to do is be able to stay at home with them and still be able to grow a company and become successful businesswoman as well. And something I found, I just like Jorge said, just jump in and do it. There's a lot of fears that are involved. I wasn't sure how to. I left the workforce to stay home with my kids, I left, things that do that, and I wasn't sure how I'd be able to do it. Plus, having 4 kids, I had 4 kids under the age of 5 for a while, and so I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to do all that and still be a stay-at-home mom and be a great mom, and still, be a successful businesswoman. So trying to combine all of those was very challenging for me. But just being able to jump in and be able to do that, I've been able to grow my business at least 15 times to where it was 7 years ago. And so it's incredible to see how it's evolved. I know I'm able to I've been able to delegate and be able to transfer a lot of things that I used to be able to do to other people. And so that's something that's also very hard for people to do, is be able to transfer things that you used to be able to do and learn how to do that successfully and not have your business crash in the meantime. So.
I can't wait to get to Ginger Ann, because she's got some, clients that are CPAs in her EVA company, and wow, they love her. She loves them. They're amazing. So we're going to do that. Don, did you have something you wanted to share? Or Ski?
Well, I think I'm listening to the information here, and there's, as you put it, it's a huge fire hose, so it's what thread do we want to go down today? And one of the things that I think is extremely important for people to realize is that one of the principles of success in anything we do is that those that are successful tend to think quickly, take action quickly, and change their mind about it very slowly. So it's being decisive and seeing, all day long. I think that we are hit with different thoughts of that come into our minds of, boy, this would be great. This kind of situation hits us, and we think it through. If we don't take action within about 5 seconds, we pull the emergency brake on it, and that thought and that opportunity is gone.
Nice.
And so it's a matter of, taking it and moving forward with it, regardless of your fears of, especially those of us that are very analytical in nature. We can tend to want to have perfection before we do anything. Well, if you're waiting for perfection, you will never do anything.
Yeah. And Jorge, you went ahead. Thanks, Don. Jorge, you had somebody who responded with their biggest challenge, and then, with some of the things they'd love help with and some suggestions. And now you're partnering up with Elise, and she's going to do a 30-minute strategy session. You're going to sit in on that until you learn how to do the 30-minute strategy, so you can partner up. You don't have to wait until you learn how to do something. The goal is to get individuals where they're able to do the things, but then even then you can leverage yourself for, for additional mutual benefit for everyone. Any thoughts that you have, further thoughts, Jorge, you have for CPAs or for those that want to partner with CPAs?
Understanding that I am analytical myself, strongly analytical, I have to stay away from that, which is a strength, but also is my limitation. Then my suggestion would be, as I have done myself, do I like where I am? Do I like the pace that my business is growing? When am I going to be able to retire or duplicate or delegate? Because sometimes we are successful, but we are tied or chained to the desk, and we don't see a way of how we're going to get out, or I am going to get out of this soon and in the terms that I want. So I was not content with what I had, so that I had to look for something to give me faster and better results. It
is interesting. I've been working with CPAs now for almost 30 years, partnering with them, coaching, consulting, just a whole bunch of different types of relationships. My oldest brother, he's a CPA. And it's interesting, if you ask a CPA, do you want to grow your business, your practice? And there's this pause almost always, and it's like, yeah, no. And so we as CPAs often kind of approach it as employees rather than an employer, like an employee rather than a business owner. And so we think the more clients we have, the more work there is, but that's not how a business owner thinks. A business owner thinks, well, I get more business, I'm able to dish more stuff off. I'm able to what's called the 5-time management freedom fighters. We can do the work ourselves, or we can delegate, systematize, contract out, hire someone, or partner with someone. But a lot of times CPAs have tried those things, but it hasn't worked. And so they kind of get discouraged and say, I'm going to have to live this until I, sell my practice. So excellent, Jorge, love that. Any other suggestions that you would give CPAs in understanding the advantage of doing something before they've fully thought it out or understand it?
Yeah, then that's also probably about the normal thing, but also as an analytical, I see something, I think about it, try to understand it. Then once I understand it, I'm going to try to do something. What I have learned here in a lot of these sessions is I see something, I trust the system and do what the system says. Then at the end, I'm going to think and analyze what happened. If it was a failure or success, it doesn't matter. I have to learn from it so I can try it again and do it better.
I love that.
I have to see, trust, and do.
Nice. I love that. Don, we're going to go ahead because we've got 10 minutes here. So you can answer any one of those, the 3 questions there, Don, or something else. Thoughts that you would have, Don?
Well, I think that what we've been talking about in general is what I like to refer to as an FQ. In other words, somebody's, instead of intelligence quotient or IQ, but their FQ. How many times are we able to get out there and seemingly fail at something and, as the Japanese proverb says, fall down 7 times, get up 8. And most of us in the beginning have a really hard time with the concept of that fear of failure. And so therefore we don't try anything. We don't go out on a limb. We stick in our comfort zone. But if we were within our comfort zone, had the things that were causing us to be successful, we'd already be successful. So we know that we have to be on the outside, on the other side of our little comfort zone. And that takes, there's some fear involved in that. And people that are successful, it's not that they didn't have fears, is that they saw the fear and they went through it anyways. They did what they needed to do. It's the doing it part that I think most people fall down on. And that they think about it, they analyze it, they talk about it, but yet they don't get to the doing it part. The implementation is the key. So, we the old adage of you got to work, plan your work and then work your plan. Well, most people are very, very good at planning their work, but it's the working the plan, because sometimes success shows up a lot looking like a lot of work. And so that's another part of, geez, seems like a lot of things that I've got to do in order to be successful here. And you got to do it anyway.
Nice. I love that. All right. Ginger Ann, same for you. There are 3 questions, I believe, there, which you could choose any one of those 3, or you could cover something else.
Okay. I guess just give me one of them and I can answer it that way.
Sure. So what are some suggestions you would give to CPAs to help them to learn how to let go of things and trust others?
Well, from my experience with working with CPAs, I've been doing it for about 6 years now, with different CPAs throughout the years. And one thing I really, especially one of my clients, he was very nervous about starting new things, nervous about setting, especially working with an EBA, and, handing stuff over. And I've seen tremendous progress over the past, I think I've been working with him 3 or 4 years now. And it's just incredible to see how he's now just hand stuff off with, take it, whatever, I try to do it. And if I hand him something to look at it, he looks at it briefly and it's done. And I think the key to that was just realizing that he wanted to grow his business. He wanted to be able to extend to the next level. he got so overwhelmed that I don't think he was able to take all of it. You know, it gets to the point where you end up having so much on your plate that you can't take all of it, and so you are forced to move on. So you can either start handing stuff off before you get to that point, or you can force yourself to get to that point by taking on more things. So you have to force to be able to hand stuff off. And it's been really amazing to see his team grow. His team has stepped up to start keeping things in place, and he never thought it was possible until today, until this week. You know, after tax season, each tax season has gotten easier in a lot of ways. Just being able to hand things off to new team members. We had to grow a new team this past tax season, and they as a team have grown a lot. I think that just learning to jump in, learning to be able to hand stuff off, before you get overwhelmed, preferably. But if not, just force yourself to do it because it is healthy for you, and you'll notice a big benefit in that way.
Nice. Ski, same thing for you. What questions, you could answer any one of those questions up on the screen, or you could go ahead and, build on what any of the other guests have talked about.
Okay, and this will tie to the last question and give owners and professionals and CPAs advice. I think when we were talking about getting them to say just jump in, that sounds really easy, and it's really difficult, I think, for that type of a personality. I really believe it stems from, first of all, getting them to think differently, and that's not easy, for sure. But just to be able to say, if you're doing what you're doing, what's going to change? Unless you start to look at things differently and see how you might be able to, as Don said, start to take action on what you're seeing. Because you may have a plan in place, but you may have to change that plan based on what you're starting to see differently. And again, overcoming that fear piece, there's a lot there. There's a lot of psychological things to overcome. But then being plugged into a coffee connection or being part of a group like what we're doing now is helpful because you're able to bring these challenges to the group and be able to get some good advice, good direction to move on these things as opposed to sitting and doing it yourself. Coincidentally, I talked to a CPA today, relatively new practice, and he's got a lot of challenges going on. And he saw himself solving all these problems himself. So as long as he keeps in that mode of thinking, how's he ever going to get out of it? Because he can use the same set of thoughts that he's been trying to solve. And as Einstein said, we can't solve a problem with the same level of consciousness that it was created in. So this is what I guess my advice is: be part of a group like this. Be involved in a group like this where you can bring those things and share, not only get from other people, but share what you know to help them.
So, Ski, it's interesting because CPAs are such a perfect profession and perfect individuals to host or support, a coffee connection. Why do you think CPAs are reluctant to go ahead and participate in a local coffee connection once a week for maybe getting together early morning, half an hour, whatever, the coffee connection decides what they want to do? Why do you think CPAs are so reluctant, and how should non-CPAs, approach a CPA, and how should a CPA approach their clients with that kind of an opportunity, Ski?
Well, first of all, I can definitely say, because I do have a CPA in the family too, that during a certain portion of the year, they are totally inundated with business, with work, getting up to the leading up to the tax deadline. So, they don't like to commit to doing anything during that time period for the most part, and they're all into their work. So, but I think, again, that's maybe being a little bit short-sighted. There's time, if you carve it out, to be able to be involved in that coffee connection. It may be that hour in the beginning of the morning, very early, where you can bring people in and utilize the same idea I just talked about, this idea of bringing your challenges together into a forum where you can share ideas. It's a mastermind, and you get a lot out of that as opposed to sitting through problem solving by yourself. And how would I advise other people to engage them? Again, I think it's really a matter of getting them to trust. You need to be able to stay in touch with them, provide some good ideas to them that gain their trust, so that they say, you know what, this guy Mark's not a bad guy. I'm gonna listen to what he has to say. I'm gonna join this call. Or I'm gonna be part of this coffee connection. So I don't know if that's helpful, but I think
it does. Yeah, I think it is, because and then I would go ahead and share this, this video, share the 7-minute, and then share the 23-minute, and we're going to be going into the next segment here, where it's looking at, just kind of open, where a number of people will be interacting, and it won't be as structured. And for me, I like that. Like structure, nothing wrong with that. But, let's talk honestly, what's working, what's not working, those type of things. And so, again, if you have any questions on anything that we covered today, feel free to connect with the individual who invited you to participate in today's session, or you can call toll-free 888-230-2300. That's 888-230-2300. Or if you're calling in outside the U.S., you can call the U.S.-based number 630-393-9909. That's 630-393-9909. And then stick around, jump into the Q&A time for sure, because that's when it gets to be fun, where we're all interacting and brainstorming. And always remember, there will be a short pause between this segment and the next segment, just for editing purposes. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. God bless, and have an amazing day. Bye-bye.